The Hawk That Dare Not Hunt by Day, Chapter 19, by Scott Odell. Packing took longer than we had planned. As midnight approached, I ran down to the embankment and asked the ship owner to delay his sailing. This he refused to do, answering me in such an unfriendly way as to arouse my suspicions that he might have heard of the Diet's intent to seize Tyndale. The bargeman, on the other hand, glad to pick up added freightage, promised to wait until we came, whatever time it might be. An hour before dawn, we had the 20 barrels loaded on the cart, half of them filled with printed sheets, and were on our way. The cart had iron-shod wheels, and the horse was also shod with iron. We made a dreadful racket in the quiet streets, therefore, added to by the barking of dogs, a sound so dreadful indeed that I half expected to be pounced upon by the law long before we reached the river. To our good fortune, the Rhine was at a height that made it possible to drive the cart directly onto the barge. There, securely tied down alongside two other carts, we waited the dawn, still expecting to be seized. Dawn broke clear with a promise of fine weather, and since it was the month of September, the river was at its lowest and ran for the most part at a pocky rate. Using 6 stout horses in tandems of 2 and 4 men to pull, the bargeman made good time, and without mishap brought us safely on the morning of the 7th day to the landing place, where the river divides and forms a marshy island near the main gate into Worms. Here we drove our cart ashore, and Uncle Jack left me to watch over it, and went into town with Tyndale to search for someone who would be willing to undertake the job we had failed to finish at Cologne. In mid-afternoon, they returned in a jubilant mood. "A printer! A printer!" Uncle Jack shouted when still 100 strides away. "We found a printer!" The printer was Peter Schoeffer, and his shop was located at a short distance from the main gate. Driving the cart thither, Uncle Jack at the reins, Tyndale and I afoot, we passed through a large crowd in the town square, it being market day. People stopped to stare at us, thinking perhaps from our English countenances and strange garb that we might be a troop of traveling mummers. There were many catcalls and questions, some of which Uncle Jack answered good-naturedly in his stentorious voice. One grizzled lout wanted to know what we were hiding in the barrels. In answer, my uncle shouted, "Worms!" But on the whole, the townspeople were friendly. "What thinkest of Belsey?" Uncle Jack asked me. "I think he's in Cologne," I said, remembering for the first time in days that Belsey had asked me to come see him and talk about the ship. End of chapter 19.